Hi, my name is Dan and I'm an industrial design lecturer at the University of Johannesburg, and I also run my own industrial design consultancy. And today I'm going to be talking to you about industrial design sketching. There's fundamental principles and it's one of the best tools to use in the design process. So the first and probably most important step in the industrial design process is ideation. And industrial design sketching works amazingly well for that because it helps you to get all the crazy ideas in your mind down onto paper in one nice motion that you can work through and start developing further. So the fundamentals of ideation, taking all the ideas that are in your mind and actually putting them down in different forms that you can take through and progressively work that design process all the way through to an end product. Much in the same way, having a look at complex form giving, where you have certain aspects of forms that you develop further and further and further from start points all the way through to end results. And then looking, of course, at presentation sketches, where you can have a look at the final product, how human forms would potentially interact with the product, looking at how those forms would actually flow together, material interfaces between different parts of the product, and of course shadowing it and texturing to make it work from there. So what's unique with industrial design presentation sketches is this can be used to show either a superior in your design consultancy, someone that you'd work for, or a potential client or potential investor, the value of the product that you're selling. It's a very easy way to easily communicate everything about the product through shape, form, color, tone, texture, and materiality. Now, what makes industrial design sketching unique in this aspect, specifically to the discipline, is that through this process we can figure out all of the nitty-gritty details, how something is going to be manufactured, how molds would potentially open and close, what materials they're going to be made from, how those materials would fit together, all of the specific things that go into actually designing and manufacturing a product for mass production. So once we've got our initial ideation ideas down on paper, we can take the process and slowly work through it, developing those concepts, figuring out form, figuring out little technical details, how things are going to fit together, and slowly developing the product through what is essentially paper prototyping to help us in our design process. One of the cool things with industrial design sketching is there's a variety of different media you can use within your development process. And this is everything from using something as simple as a pen and paper, through rough ideation sketching to just get those ideas down, through all the way to using Copic markers and advanced rendering techniques to emulate and replicate textures, forms, colors, shadows, and reflections to truly help communicate the design as you envision it in your mind. The next step from there is we can use a hybrid type of sketching system where we actually transition into the digital environment as well through digital sketching, where we can overlay graphics, colors, and different images in order to create composite sketches that really speak to the design you envision in your mind and talk through to moving on to the CAD development process. So apart from working in the conventional pen and paper technique, you can also transition to the digital environment where you can either use a graphic tablet or graphic editing software in a computer to overlay the same types of lines, textures, and colors to get the same kind of result. And I find those that struggle in one area can obviously also pick it up in the other. Specifically for me, before I came here to study, I didn't take art. And this was something that was completely new to me when I entered the program. And luckily through the program, you gradually learn to develop the skills through trial and error, figuring out, learning the techniques, and using the different tools at your disposal to be able to slowly develop those skills until you can communicate the designs that you have in your mind nice and easily through whoever needs to see it. So one of the most critical steps in the industrial design process is the realization of ideas in the tangible world. And we achieve this through prototyping. So the University of Johannesburg has a fully functioning workshop here, and that's everything from a full woodworking workshop, full metalworking workshop, plastics and resin casting workshop, all the way through to the more digital fabrication techniques. So one of the really good things about what you learn here is even if you've never touched a workshop before, even if you've never held a tool, we cover everything. So we do basic workshop proficiency on every one of the tools to get you through the process. So starting out, what is really, really awesome in the process is to use cardboard as a manufacturing technique. And this is really good for developmental prototypes that run through the process to try and get scale, form, and proportion, looking how you need to. And this is one of the easiest, quickest ways to be able to do that. Moving up from there, we then cover foam sculpting, developmental models, using a lot of the tools that we have here, and of course, doing it the challenging way by hand, getting those forms looking exactly how you want them to. When it comes to operating our woodworking machinery, we've got a lot of industrial scale machines and a lot of hand tool size machines, and we do basic proficiency in woodworking, so you can take big chunks of timber and be able to break them down into beautiful, beautiful toys, anything like that to realize your prototype as a tangible object in the real world. Moving from there, once you've developed a lot of these skills, building on them, we can now use these to actually create, for instance, wooden prototypes that we can use for mold making, for ceramic molds, all the way through to prototyping things that can be used to actually make resin cast molds from. So for me, the fundamental difference between industrial design and, say, product design or three-dimensional design comes to a lot of the skills that you actually learn and develop in the process, the knowledge that you have to be able to design. Where I see that product design is being able to conceptualize and ideate a product and be able to render it in some way, shape or form, be it a physical product or something that exists in the digital environment, or a three-dimensional design where you're able to conceptualize something and develop it within a three-dimensional space. Industrial design encompasses so much more than that. Industrial design speaks to the way it's going to be made, how people are going to be interacting and using it. So understanding the ergonomics and anthropometrics of a chair, for instance, but in the same way understanding how the plywood fits together, how the legs are bent out of steel, how the different parts are actually screwed and fastened together, and how it's going to sell. The psychology of how someone is going to be interacting with this product, what makes it sell, the colors, the textures, materials, all of those things together cumulatively to me speaks to a very, very strong way of product design. For me, speaking as someone that does small scale design, prototyping, batch manufacture, all the way through to developing products for mass manufacture in a multitude of markets, even up to the global level, the importance of being able to retain that locally, being able to take the skills that we've learned in these types of institutions and apply those skills by creating jobs for others, by filling gaps in the market, by creating products that meet needs specifically to the South African context. Being able to offer a solution that is competitive against mass imported products that are designed and manufactured in other markets, and being able to put that money back into the economy. To be able to develop skills, to be able to create products that can be sold for our unique context, for something that's specific to South Africa. Products that have a lot more meaning and perhaps solve problems in ways that other products don't.